Hello and welcome to everybody out there in Swuggerland. Happy Rise of the Empire Day. This is the day where we get to start the next 7 days of doing the same combats over and over and over and over again. Super exciting, folks, right? Now, this is a topic that I have talked about a lot, and one of my mainstay things when it comes to this game is really getting CG to respect our time, our effort, and our energy. I don't particularly care if they want to sell me something. I may choose to buy it. I may choose not to buy it. But what I really do care about is that CG as a company respects that I am an adult that does have responsibilities in my life and that I cannot sit there for 3 hours a day playing Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Or maybe I can because that's what I've been doing for the last 9.5 years. With that said, we are going to talk about some other solutions that I have brought up in the past, but I do have a very simple solution today, something that does not require crazy back end coding and changing fundamentally how TB works, and really just involves fixing or making a couple of tweaks to change the amount of time I am spending. So, with that said, let's get into it. So, about 2 years ago, I posted this on Reddit, and there are some typos in the title simply because you cannot edit the title of Reddit posts. But it says, let's talk about the possibility of partial auto in territory in battles, why we shouldn't be afraid of it, and how we can do it with every changing guilds or ever changing guilds, whatever it is. And the fundamental idea here is that partial simming of territory battles is not something that we should be scared of. And there is a whole breakdown on how we can do it and how we can make sure that it does not fundamentally make it an abusable system where players can go in, get combats, and then continue to do things without having to worry about their team compositions or having to benefit their guilds in ways that it shouldn't benefit your guild. Now, we're not going to go over all of those conditions and foundations or whatever else, but this is a post that is very easily available on Reddit. Just Google Egnards Reddit territory battles, partial sim, something like that, and this will come up, and you can read through exactly what the options would be and how those options would work and what the criteria of those options would be. Uh, 6 months ago, I did another video. Yes, CG. It's time to let us sim Rise of the Empire, the 5 planet problem. And it really just takes, oh my God, look at that face. I always pause on the worst faces. Um, but really, this talks about the Zepho and Mandalore problem on day 4 and day 5, where players don't just have to do 3 planets worth of material, they have up to 5 planets worth of material. And it does cover a lot of the same stuff that is in this post. However, a year and a half later, I have made some tweaks to some of those conditions and some of those understandings and talk about some of the realistic ways that CG could implement this again without there being abuse from the player base. I do think that this video is worth a watch, and I do think that the fixes outlined in this video are how CG should fix the problem. However, the reality is that a lot of these fixes take a lot of time, effort, energy. They're going to take a lot of revenue. They're going to take a lot of back end coding, and they are going to possibly cause issues if they're not done right. And while I don't like to think about my solutions in the guise of, well, will CG be able to pull this off? Because that's just not fair when we're trying to fix things in the game. I will admit that it has been a long time and a lot of people have asked for it, and it hasn't happened, and maybe it's never going to happen. So there is a simple solution, and that simple solution is CG, give us 8x combat speed only in non timered game modes. Now, why just non timered game modes? The reality is that our relics are a resource we have to manage. Our gear levels are a resource we have to manage. Our ability materials are a resource we have to manage. The timer is also a resource we have to manage in this game. And a lot of kits and a lot of counters in this game fully rely on a quite a few different tricks in order for them to either work or not work. The AI in some cases is really dumb on purpose in order to allow for counters to work. The AI hard targets certain characters with other certain characters in order to allow counters to either work or not work. The timer is another one of those tricks that CG uses in order to allow counters to work or not work. We have counters in this game that might go up to that very last second, and those counters do not become reliable when we have to worry about that every single time we go into battle. And I've already accepted that that is a part of the game, and I am okay with it. And I don't want CG to take away that timer because I am worried that if CG takes away that timer, what is going to end up happening is we are going to start seeing battles that take more than 5 minutes. Can you imagine having to do your arena battles and in your GAC match, I don't know, Lord Vader versus Lord Mandalore Ultra Mega is a 15-minute battle? That would be infuriating. We need the timer, and I respect the timer. However, there are game modes that do not have a timer. Territory Battles does not have a timer. Um, the raid does not have a timer. Coliseum does not have a timer. Allow us to unlock an 8x speed for our battles to speed up those battles and put us in a position to better manage our time as players. While an 8x speed will not stop me, um, will not put me in a position where I am taking 1 hour of time and turning it into 5 minutes of time. It will take that 1 hour of time and bring it down to 25 to 30 minutes. And I'm actually kind of okay with that. I will be able to get through my battles a lot quicker. My phone will drain a lot slower. I will be able to get my raids done in the morning without having to worry about all of the resets because my battles are going much, much quicker. And I honestly think that while this will not fully change or alter the veteran fatigue thing that we are currently seeing right now, with a lot of really long term players leaving, and I want to stipulate that by saying that there are a lot more new players coming in, and the game is not dying. But we really want to keep both demographics of players. And while I do not think that this solves all of the problems for the veteran player, I do think that it will take some players off of the edge and say, hey, you know what? I can deal with 25 minutes of doing TB over doing an hour of TV, especially if my raid now, instead of taking a half hour, is only taking 15 minutes. I am shoring up the time for the players, for myself, and that allows me to better invest in the other game modes that CG is bringing to the table. Again, like Coliseum, again, like the possibility of a PvP era mode that we heard talked about in the very, very beginning. This will allow CG to experiment with new stuff while also reducing our time intervals in the game, and possibly provide for players to be happier. And if you don't believe me, and why would you believe me?
I am Fat Phil, and I approve the use of 8 times speed in territory battles to improve player experience. This video is not to be tweaked, edited, or changed by Moonborn in order to use as a weapon against me to get me to Relic 10 Wampa. It will not happen. I do not approve it. I am Fat Phil, and I approve 8 times speed in territory battles.
Now, if I were a more vindictive man and I actually cared about his terms of use on that video, I would have edited this myself to say something about that R10 Wampa. But the reality is that I am somebody that has way too much going on right now, and I do not have the time to sit down in whatever program I have on here. What program do I have on here? In DaVinci Resolve to make it seem like our like Fat Phil hates his Wampa because he did say only Moonborn couldn't edit that video. But with all of that said, hit me up in the comments. Let me know on Discord. Tell me what is going on and why I am wrong. Because apparently I am the problem here and have always been the problem here. I'm the problem. It's me. But I'd love to hear from you guys. Peace out and have a great rest of your day.